What's up, Vanessa? Great job, girl. Unbelievable. Great to meet you and connect with you. What's up, fam? It's Saturday, man. I got my Tommy Bahama t-shirt on. I'm about to hit the lake. So I wanted to come connect with you guys for a few minutes. Had a blast with you guys yesterday. Was my guy Dave Meltzer on this morning already? You guys had Dave? That's awesome. Got to connect with my guy Dave Meltzer. I know Bobby Grossi was on yesterday. Was Bobby on again today or just that one time? Just that one time? Awesome. I know he's a mover and a shaker. He's got a million things going on. And you guys may not know, but he bought 2 crumble cookie franchises. So I'm like, bro, you got to open that thing up so you can ship me some cookies. Anyway, so good to see you guys. Calvin, what's up, big boy? I did not know you was going to be on here. Good to see you, homie. I see you, bro. How are you doing?
Good to see you, Ken. I've kind of been popping in and out because I just got other stuff I'm doing here too, but I'm trying to keep on listening to it.
I know you do. How was that BVI yacht trip with Matt
man,
and the boys?
You missed out. You missed out, man. You should have been with me. I told you it's just like salvation. It's free. You just had to accept it, and you turned me down. It was the most amazing trip I ever had. And then, I'm sure you heard what happened. We got so many bonuses we didn't even know, like Gary and Sage were on the yacht trip with us. And all of a sudden, like, we knew there was this big secret. And then
going to Richard Branson's house.
All of a sudden, these power boats come and picked us up. They said, just be packed for a couple of days. And these power boats showed up. And Gary and Sage and Matt and Jenny were the only ones knew ahead of time. We were going to Richard Branson's private island for 2 days. Actually, we were going to get for 1 day. And then we liked it so much, we put our money together and bought a second day there. So over the top in every way, over delivered in every way.
That's amazing. Well, guys, good, man. It's good to be with you guys. I met my guy Calvin right here. I spoke at the Undercover Billionaire Boot Camp in Colorado Springs with Grant and Gary. Obviously, you guys know Gary and I are real close. I think I talked to Gary almost every day he was on the boat with you guys. So real quick, guys, I've got a few minutes. I just wanted to share with you and kind of piggyback off what I talked about yesterday about creating your ideal life. So if you've got a pen and a paper, I'd love for you to take a couple notes. I want to start with a story that I heard that absolutely blew me away and absolutely confirmed a saying that I have been saying for over 20 years. And people say all the time, again, Ken, how in the world do you find yourself on the stage at Undercover Billionaire with guys like Grant Cardone, my guy Matt, and his amazing wife Jenny? If y'all watched Undercover Billionaire, Matt's the one that owns the mattress company, the gym. They're phenomenal human beings. How do you wind up on stage with John Maxwell, guys like Ed Mylett? How do you get to speak then at 10X for Grant a couple times too? I think it's been 3 times now. Like, how do you continue to do these things? And I remember when I was pastoring, as youth pastor, I had several hundred kids in my youth group, about 8 or 9 interns, like year-long internship, where we just really, I was pouring in, developing those guys, taking them through John Maxwell books, Seth Godin, and really developing them as leaders. And one of the things that I used to say all the time was this, that when you act like you belong in the room, you'll get in the room. When you act like you belong in the room, you'll get in the room. So, and I say this to my business owners all the time. If you, and again, I mentioned, our mastermind, I've got 35, 36 people in this. We just started it. We're going to cap it at 50. Already 35 or 36, 7 and 8 figure earners in this mastermind. And I tell our group this all the time. If you're a business of 1 million and you want to go to 3 or you want to go to 5, do the things that businesses that are 3 and 5 million do, and you'll become a $3 to $5 million business. It's impossible for you not to. And Brandon Dawson, good friend of mine and good friend of a lot of you guys at Cardone Ventures, Brandon's secret sauce is model, mimic, and master. He talks about it all the time. I heard this story a couple months ago. Man, as soon as I did, it was like, boom, it was like bells and whistles went off in my head. A guy named Trevor Moad, he's a CEO of Limitless Minds. Sports Illustrated calls him the world's best sports brain trainer. He's a psychology coach, which is what my good friend Richie Dolan does, who is actually in LA with me last week working with the Lakers. When he was in high school, he was in the bottom 10% of his entire high school class. Barely even going to graduate high school. Single parent home. Mom begged her son, please go take the SAT. Trevor goes and takes the SAT at the end of his senior year. And it turns out he gets his score in the mail a few weeks later, and he makes a 1480 on the SAT. I don't know about you guys. I think 1480 is like Ivy League intelligence. Like that's insane. A 1480. I know my sister was valedictorian, and I think she made a 1280. So that tells you how good a 1480 is. Made a 1480 on the SAT. He went on to get several offers from elite Division I schools, including a lot of Ivy League schools. He went to Wichita State, graduated with a 4-year degree, and then went to an Ivy League school and got his MBA. And when this guy got his MBA, he started this company. He's one of the top entrepreneurs in the world. A dozen years after he took this SAT, he gets a letter in the mail, and his dad calls and he says, "Hey, you've got a letter in the mail from the SAT audit board." And he goes, "Hey, go ahead and open it up and tell me what it says." They went on to inform him that 13 people that year received the wrong SAT score, and that Trevor's SAT score was actually a 740 and not a 1480. It was half of what they said it was. And they asked his dad in a newspaper article, they said, was it him thinking that he got a 1480 that changed the trajectory of his life? This was a guy who was barely graduating high school. And not only did he graduate from Wichita State, but he got an MBA from one of the Ivy League schools. I believe it was Dartmouth or Princeton, if I'm not mistaken. And his dad said, no, it didn't have anything to do with the fact that he thought he made a 1480. What it did was it changed his behavior, and he began to act like somebody who got a 1480. And so yesterday I talked about vision, and I talked about really living and creating your ideal life. What does that look like for you to create and live your ideal life? I talked about our core 5. We talk about it all the time in my mastermind. Core 5: faith, physical condition, relationships, business, finance. I'll say that again for those of you guys that weren't on yesterday. Faith, number 1. And again, I'm a Christ follower. I pastored 12 out of the last 25 years. Planted churches, been in ministry a long time. I'm not really concerned with what your faith is. I don't care if you're a Christ follower, if you believe in the universe or God or whatever that looks like. Like, there's got to be some level of faith on the inside of you. Faith, your physical condition. Where am I at in my health journey? For those of you guys know my health journey over the past 2.5 years, I'm down over 80 pounds. I busted my ass at the gym this morning. Let me tell you something yesterday. I was on the call yesterday talking about doing things you don't want to do. And as soon as I said it on the call with you guys yesterday, I'm telling you, man, my subconscious, I just rose up on the inside and said, you need to take your ass to the gym. I don't care if you're sitting here popping Ricolas like Skittles and you got a little cough. You need to go get in the gym. So what I do, I went to the gym. I did a 30-minute Peloton ride and got a good sweat. So I went ahead and did that yesterday. So number 1, faith, physical condition, your relationships. Where am I at in my relationships? 4th thing is going to be your business. 5th thing is going to be your finances. And it really needs to be done in that order. So those are the things that we talk about in our mastermind all the time. We rank ourselves 1 through 5. It's what we did yesterday. So I love that SAT story about Trevor Moawad. He's one of the top CEOs in the world right now. His business is valuated at tens of millions of dollars, all from a guy who barely graduated high school. And this is the question I posed to our community a few weeks ago. The world needs you at your best. If there's ever been a time where the world needs every single one of us to be the best version of ourselves, it's right now. There are things going on in our world that are absolutely insane. There are things that when you hear them, you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. 2 + 2 is 4. 1 + 3 is 4. But either one of them don't equal 8, 12, or 14. I mean, we live in a world right now that literally is flipped upside down. And the world needs you to live your ideal life. 2 reasons. I want you to write these down. Number 1, you set the example. You set the example. Guys, I can't tell you how many text messages, how many video texts, how many DMs I get on the weekly basis from people. I got 2 yesterday and 2 the day before. I got 1 last night when I got home after I posted my picture on the bike. I think I did a video when I was doing the Peloton, pouring sweat. 30-minute bike ride. I still had a little bit of congestion in my head. And I took my home remedy yesterday, my Angel's Envy, my bourbon, my hot throat coat tea, honey and lemon. And that's what my granny used to do, except we used moonshine back in the day. And they saw that and they just said, there's actually a local friend of mine here she lives in Tuscaloosa. And she texted me and she goes, hey, I just want you to know, man, how inspiring it is to see you in your dedication to your health journey. Guys, listen, the world needs you to see you at your best because you set the example. And some of you guys are like, Ken, it's easy for you. You're on big stages. You do your own conference. You got a big podcast. You write books. You hang out with guys like Grant Cardone and Gary Brecka and Randy Garn, and you're doing all this stuff. Of course, you need to be at your best because of that. Well, listen, let me ask you this. There are people in your life that I'm never going to meet. There are people that Christian is never going to meet. There are people that Calvin is never going to meet. There are people that Peter is never going to meet. Like, there are people in your circle that need you to set the example for them because they just really don't know what it looks like to be significant and to be successful. They just don't know. I love the scripture where Paul in the New Testament, if y'all are not familiar with the Bible in the New Testament, Paul wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, all the epistles, the letters to the churches, Corinth, if the church at Ephesus, the church in Rome, all the different letters, Thessalonians, all the different letters, Paul wrote all this. One of the scriptures, Paul says, I want you to follow me as I follow Christ. He was saying, listen, just do what I do. And again, it goes back to Brandon Dawson's model, mimic and master. Just emulate what I do. Guys, listen, people in your life need to see you living your best life so they have an example. Like one of the most amazing things, I was very open and transparent with you guys. Yesterday, I ended a 27-year marriage. A little bit over 2 years ago, I moved out. My divorce was final 5-6 months ago. And one of the things that I was very transparent with you guys yesterday, I had my first family counseling session. 2 of my daughters came today. 2 of them were like, Dad, I'm still not ready. I was like, okay. And guys, we went in there, and one of the things that has meant the world to me over the past couple of weeks is my 26-year-old daughter, who's texting me right now, who's on the way. She's like, Dad, we're ready to go to the lake. My 26-year-old told me a couple of weeks ago, she goes, Dad, we can see the work that you're doing. And I want you to know what it does is it gives us hope that regardless of what happens to us as human beings and the trauma or things that happened to us as a kid, we can make it through that, and we can become better because of that situation or that thing that's going on. Calvin, you got a thought or an idea? I saw you raise your hand, bro.
I just didn't know if I'm getting ahead of you or if I missed something. I was waiting to put here. Number 1, I set the example. What was number 2?
Oh, I ain't got there yet.
Okay. One other thing about you setting the example. Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you. I may have on that call when I invited you. The whole reason why I even did that and had that experience, plus a lot of other amazing experiences this summer, is because you showed up at Undercover Billionaire Boot Camp. You were up there on stage, and one of the things that impacted the most, other than a personal side thing that went on with Jenny, was what you said about, you named different things about where somebody invited you to a high level like mastermind or a high level coaching, and you just said, I'm in. You didn't even ask the price. And then you found out later it was like 10,000.
Yeah. You're like, how much is that again?
Yeah. And it was like, you said like, and then, along with that, Matt was saying, do shit that scares you. So after that mastermind, I just started living my life completely different. Yeah. I was always I was hoarding, making this last. And it was like, hey, I'm going to figure it out. I think you brought that out too. Just make the commitment and figure it out. And that's shifted my life more than anything else in the last 6 months.
I love it.
Is you sharing that with us at UBB. So I'll land my plane there.
And here's my second point. Number 1, you set the example. Number 2, you show people what's possible. You show them what's possible. And if you need an object lesson, I showed Calvin what was possible, and his testimony right now is that I get goosebumps, bro. You showed me what's possible, and not only did you show me, but now I'm living it out in my life. I used to tell my staff when I was pastoring, and I tell my team this all the time right now. About every 90 days, you should be uncomfortable as hell in your life. You should be like, man, can I pull this off? Can I really do can I really do this vision? God, you put this dream in my heart. I showed this picture to you guys yesterday from a half a day strategy session with my guy, Master Jeff, in LA at his house in Calabasas last week. Let me find this picture right here. Peter, do you remember what the number was? There it is right there. Peter, you remember what that number was yesterday? There's my number right there. That's my goal, $5.192 million in revenue this year. Peter said,
I was just saying, but I realized that I was not talking. I was saying 5,202,000 was 902. Yeah. So I missed up one number.
No, you're good. Yeah, 5.1, almost $5.2 million. Guys, my company's just a little bit over 2 years old. And our goal this year is going to be over $5 million. And the only reason I can do that is because I've had others show me what's possible. I've had other people show me what's possible. I've got guys in my life right now. And I know I was talking a little bit about Gary yesterday, and I know they'll kind of come out and share with you the big deal that him and Sage just did for themselves in Colorado. But like when he called me from the closing table, like, I'm like, okay, dude, this is possible. Like, and I watch people like Gary and Sage, and I know Calvin got to spend, it's like 7-8 days with him in the BVI on the boat. And, the thing with Gary and Sage, because I talk to Gary almost every day. The thing that's really, really cool is until he had that moment where he got a phone call and it was some guy named Grant Cardone. He didn't even know who Grant was. He had no idea who Grant was when Grant called him 3.5 years ago. And through his relationship with Grant, his entire life is completely different. I mean, he sold half a streamline for multi-millions of dollars. This year alone, he's going to make another multi-millions of dollars. He's one of my 8-figure earners in my mastermind. Him and Sage paid $35,000 to be in my mastermind. On my text thread yesterday, dude, can't wait to see you guys in Sundance, August the 2nd through the 5th. Him, Randy, Brent Gove, Master Jeff, and Brian Covey. They're all like, dude, we can't wait to be there. Listen, the circle that I run with and the people that I have in my life, they show me what's possible. When I leaned across the table and I told Jeff what my goal was, $1 million check I wrote to myself. It's right here. I see it every time I come in my podcast studio. When I leaned across the table and I told Jeff my goal was to make $1 million this year, he didn't go, dude, that's fantastic. That's a huge goal, Ken. He leaned across the table and he said, a month or a week? And I said, ooh. I said, no. I want to make $1 million, me, not the business, me this year. I want to clear $1 million. And he leaned across the table again. He goes, a month or a week? And that's when I realized, oh, I got you. You're stretching my ass. I get it. Like I'm not thinking big enough. You've got to have the people in your life. Number one, you're going to set the example. Number two, you're going to show people what's possible, but you've got to have people in your life that show you what's possible as well. Calvin, what you got on?
I'm sorry. I just had never put my hand back down after the last time. I'm just listening to you. Soaking it up, brother. Keep going.
I thought you had some more wisdom you was about to drop on us right here.
No.
Listen. And how many of you guys have ever heard of Roger Bannister? Ever heard of Roger Bannister? Nobody's heard of Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister was the first individual in the history of the world to run a sub 4-minute mile. He did it in 1954. In fact, guys, listen to this. In fact, scientists said it was physically impossible for a human being to run a sub 4-minute mile. They said it's completely impossible. Do you know within the next year, 5 people broke that sub 4-minute mile? 3 people broke it in the exact same race. It had never been done. Scientists said it couldn't be done. It's humanly impossible for a human to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Not only when did he break it, but when he did, he shattered the lid off of what all of the runners thought was possible. And immediately, 4 or 5 people, 3 people in one race within the next year shattered that 4-minute mile. In a record that most most scientists and biologists thought would be completely impossible, and that no man would ever be able to do that. Guys, listen, I want you to ask yourself, I'll never forget, I've had in my relationship with Christ, I've had some crazy moments. My own first big conference, I did a National Youth Leadership Conference. I had my good friend Ron Luce, who Ron did Acquire the Fires, what they were called. They were events all around the country. Smallest one, 12, 13, 14,000 students and youth leaders and youth pastors and senior pastors. The largest every year, he would do one in the Silver Dome. He did it 2 years in a row, and he did it at the Indy Dome, Indianapolis, 70,000 to 80,000 people at both of those. The leadership summit that I started speaking at a couple years after I met Ron was 8,000, 9,000, all the way up to 20,000 at the Palace in Auburn Hills one year. John Maxwell, Gerald Ford, President Ford, who was still alive, Zig Ziglar. I mean, just the lineup of leadership, it was absolutely mind-blowing, the people that he had speak at this every year. And I got to speak right behind John. My first big stage was behind John in front of one of my mentors. Later on that year, I did my own National Youth Leadership Conference. I had 375 student pastors and leaders from 18 different states show up at my church for my conference. And I'll never forget, a couple weeks before, I was just praying. We had a pretty kick-ass place. I mean, it was like all the light, it looked like a club, all the lighting, all the sound. I had an 80-inch flat screen, not a flat screen, but an 80-inch rear projection TV. That thing cost $10,000 back then. Raised all the money in the community to be able to build it out. I had a 50s diner that had neon everywhere, red metal flake tables. It literally looked like you walked back into Happy Days set. I had PlayStation 2s all on the wall, pool tables, basketball courts outside, a full kitchen with a chef that ran it every week, best burgers and shakes in our town. And I mean, I had hundreds of kids that were coming in and out of there every single week. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying, excuse me. And I'm like, I'm almost overwhelmed at what God had put on me, like the vision that he had put on the inside of me for what I was doing. And I'll never forget, one day I was praying, and I haven't heard God like speak to me like this clear, but maybe a couple of times in 25, 30 years of being a Christ follower. And I was just sitting there on the stage one day, and I was listening to worship music, and I'm praying, and I said, God, why me? I just said, why me? And as clear as I ever heard God speak to me, God spoke back to me. He goes, why not you? He said, why not you? And I want to ask you guys that same question. Why not you? Like, why not you? But why can't it be you? I told you guys yesterday, listen, I'm not the sharpest tool in the woodshed. Like, I got buddies of mine. I mean, I know I can communicate. I've been doing this a long time. I put a lot of work into it. First time I spoke, and I may have shared this yesterday, the first time I spoke down at 10X headquarters, Grant and Jared and Richie are in the back of the room, and Jared glanced like, dude, you're really good. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been on stages from, 20,000 people down to hundreds of people every week for 20 years. Every Thursday, I walked into an empty auditorium with my Countryman E6 headset, and I would preach to an empty auditorium. And every Monday, I would watch one of my 2 messages so I could get better and work on my craft. But I've got friends that are better communicators than I do. Man, they're really, really good. I'm not the sharpest guy in the world. I'm just not. I'm not the smartest. But I tell you what I am. I'm the most consistent. I'm the one that's going to show up every freaking day. I'm the one that's going to lean into incremental, not monumental. Small daily discipline decisions over time always equal monumental results. Success cannot escape you when you do the right things every single day. Nobody will be more consistent and show up more than I will. Nobody will do that. Absolutely nobody. Number one, like all growing up in life, I was always an above average athlete in every sport, but I wasn't ever the best. But let me tell you what I was. I was always heady. Because that's the power of being a visionary. You see things. That's why now at 53 years old and still a little overweight, when I play basketball, I still play point. Why? Because I see the floor. I know where all the guys are. I know where my shooters are. I know where my post guys are. I'm dropping down like Isaiah Thomas. Some of you guys don't even know who that is. Some of y'all young cats. I still will 2 or 3 times in a day, even though I'm 53 and even though I don't move like I'm 20 something anymore. I played with my son-in-law who can actually, he's a hooper. I played with my son-in-law and a bunch of his guys that play D1, D2 college, and I'll drop 2 or 3 dimes and they'll be like, what just happened? Where'd this old guy come from? Why? It's because I'm a visionary, because I see everything that's going on in front of me. Listen, guys, you set the example. You show everyone what's possible. And I'll ask you the same question. Why not you? Why not you? Listen, Grant Cardone puts his pants on just like you do. Peter puts your pants on just like I do. I put my pants on. I got swim trunks on. I got some Tommy Bahama swim trunks on right now, but I put them on just like you do. Like there's nothing special. There's really not. Scripture talks about, there's a parable, it talks about five talents, 2 talents, and 1 talent. And I'll never forget, Kevin Myers, he's a pastor at 12 Stone. It's one of the largest churches in the Atlanta area. They've got, 10 or 11 campuses and 30, 40,000 people, I would imagine. Kevin personally mentored by John Maxwell for several years. That's when kind of the explosion and growth happened in his church. And I'll never forget Kevin doing a message one time, and he talked about whatever level leader you are. Like if you're a 5 talent, like I'm probably a 3 or 4 talent level leader when it comes to my ability to be able to communicate. I told you guys before, Anthony Trucks, he's a 5. That cat can bring it. He can absolutely bring it. Like he's so good. I mean, he's the sexiest dude in the world when he's on the stage. I'm like, my man crush comes out like crazy on Anthony, but he's really, really good. But I'm okay with knowing that, you know what? I'm not going to do that. But God didn't gift me and call me to do that. He gifted and called me to be me. He wants me to be me. My thumbprint's different than any other thumbprint that's ever been in the history of the world. That's how unique God made me to be. So let me ask you this question. Why not you? Calvin, what you got, homie?
Got to call you out on something.
Yeah,
some of your self-talk.
Oh,
some of your BS. So you said you're not the greatest speaker in the world, and I'm not fluffing you or blowing smoke. You're right up there with the top that I've listened to. Yeah. You're right up there with Grant Cardone, John Maxwell. So just own it and just step into that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I look at some of my friends and I'm like, dude, damn, he's good. Now I know, man, when I get to going, sometimes I'm like, it's almost out of body is about the only way I can explain it. Like when I get in a flow, it's like I'm watching myself and I'm like, dude, this is really good. Like I can tell sometimes when I hit that level. But dude, when you watch somebody like Anthony Trucks, who's 6'4" and chiseled out of a damn piece of granite, get up there and he's got that pretty smile and that light brown skin, and he gets up there and he's rolling. I told him yesterday, you weren't on here, Calvin. I was leaned. I had Randy Garn on one side. I don't remember who was sitting on the other side. Maybe my buddy Master Jeff, who Forbes magazine calls the Tony Robbins of Persia. He does 15, 20,000 people in person events in Dubai and in Malaysia. And I leaned over to him. I said, man, it should be illegal to be that damn good looking and be able to communicate the way that he does. But anyway, guys, I'd love a little Q&A. I've got about 5 minutes. If you got any questions, I would love what we talked about. The world needs you at your best because you set the example.
Yeah, I got one question. Yeah.
Go ahead, Cal.
I can reach Gary and Sage on that. Is there any more openings on that event they're holding? I know they had reached out to me and I just right away, the old mentality.
You talking about my event in August?
No,
be at?
No, I'm talking about the one they're holding at the new ranch. I'd seen something from them that they just got that ranch and they were holding a health.
Oh, you're talking about in Colorado?
There. Yeah, Colorado.
Yes, I think it's in September. I know me and
I'll follow up with
Dr. Rob are going.
Yeah, I'll follow up with
September the 23rd or 24th.
Yeah,
I think it's the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Yeah, because they were talking about it was just a dream of getting this ranch when they were on the boat. And then Sage posted it, they had it, and they sent me like an email inviting me to a retreat, and right away the old kicking. I spent so much money on Masterminds retreats this summer, the old thinking kicked in, and it's like, I can't afford it. You know, I didn't respond, but hearing you talk about it now, it's just like, man, gotta stay by the fire, you know.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro.
All right, I'll reach out to them.
Reach out to Gary and them. I think those are the dates because he's already sent me a text, and he sent me 18 videos last week. He sent me the video of the fox on the porch. I don't know if you saw the fox on the porch, but they've got a pet fox out in the middle. So basically it's 50 acres is what they bought. One cabin, they're going to cut it into 10-acre lots. They're going to do 5 cabins. He's going to do some huge superhuman protocol retreats there. And so we're going to launch this kind of a private deal in September. So super excited about that. I've got some room in August the 2nd through the 5th in Sundance. So big boy, you need to be there. Gary and Sage will be there for that one as well. So we got some amazing guys coming there for that. But anyway, questions, guys, Q&A. I'd love to answer any questions.
Mr. Ken, I have a question before going on. You know, like you're saying that you have to be at least once a month to be uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, about once every 60 to 90 days, you should be like.
What about if you're every day?
I mean, I think I'll give you an example. Like, I write my goals down twice a day, every day. One of my goals is 106 pounds. Well, it started out at 66. And when I got to 60, I moved it to 86. When I got to 80, I moved it to 106. Like, I constantly keep that carrot in front of me, but I didn't set it so crazy big, because if I'd set a 106-pound goal 2.5 years ago, I probably would have been like, oh my God, there's no way I could do that. Like, it's like almost unimaginable. I set it at 66. I knew I could do that. And I knew I was dedicated to that. I think there's moments you can be uncomfortable. I think there's moments where you look, and I mean, I look at this $1 million check and I'm like, okay, dude, you got, 11 and a half months. Let's go. What are you going to do? Okay, 5.192 million looks sexy on a damn whiteboard, but let's put some action behind it. Like, I think some of those moments, Peter, I think are okay for you. But I think, every 2 to 3 months, and it's not just even in a vision casting or a goal setting, the goal setting space in your life. I think it's because, like Calvin said just a minute ago, when you get in the rooms that I get in, and you're in the relationships that I get to be in, like when you guys were at Richard Branson's, Gary's FaceTiming me from the damn deck. He was actually on my call. We had a webinar that night, and he was on the webinar from Richard Branson's master bedroom balcony overlooking the BVI. I mean, it's, when you get in the rooms, what happens is it changes the way that you think. And when it changes the way that you think, Calvin hit it right on the head. I went back to old thinking. He said, I went back to old thinking. Exactly what he just said.
Yeah, it totally changed the way you think, because just being there on that exact place, I seen where he was webcasting from up there.
Yeah.
He invited us right up to their master bedroom, because the thing, it had its own, it was the very highest point on the island. It had its own park up on, like a whole wall of glass that opens up, and they have their own park. And my whole mind shifted of that whole trip, because I seen it's possible. Somebody thought of that, Richard or whoever thought of this, and took this desolate island and turned it into a paradise. And it just thought, just like you said, why me? Why not me? I thought, hey, I could do this too. Not that I think I'm anybody, but like, it's just how much effort, how much action can I put into the right ideas? And I could have my own island paradise like that.
When you dream like that, guys, that's when stuff starts to happen. That's when I just ran our GSD community through a goal setting workshop for like 4 weeks. And when you start writing things down on paper, I'm telling you what, Scripture says, and it's all scriptural principle if you ask me. I mean, everything. Habakkuk 2:4 says, write the vision down that the herald who reads it may run, or the herald who reads it may run with it. So he's basically going out and proclaiming the vision. Like, when you write that down, there is a transferable spiritual principle, a vision, when you begin to write it down. And when you write it down a couple times a day, like Grant teaches, and like I talked about yesterday, I'm telling you, you look at it every single day. And what happens is that, coupled with gratitude, affirmations, top 3, and incremental, not monumental, you're just going. What happens is you look up. If you had told me 2 years ago, I'd be doing a strategy session and my 4 numbers were 50, 100, 500, 1,000, 50 people in my GSD elite, 500 people or 100 people in my GSD community, 500 people at my conference, and 1,000 courses sold in 1 year. If you'd have told me that, I'd have told you were crazy. I'm like, there's no way. Like, over 1 million was insane to me. 5.192 million. And I'm looking at it going, dude, we can do that. I put the right team together. We can hit that number right there. Like, you start to believe things that you didn't believe before. And that's exactly what Calvin's talking about. When you get around those guys, like, they don't have a problem. You need people in your life. And again, I'll hit this because I hit it yesterday. You need people in your life when you say, what's your goal? I want to cash this $1 million check I got for myself. Is that $1 million a week or a month? Like, you need people to challenge the level at which you believe. So why not you? Why not you? Christian, good to see you, homie. How you feeling over there? You feeling better? I know you had some dental surgery.
It's almost going away. So, yeah, I'm good. I'm trying to stay still, but move away from my daughter mostly. She's chasing me around. But look, it's been a great session, and I got so many things out of it. I'll definitely gonna have to watch the recording again so I can write things down, because every time you come on, it's something that has to be written down for sure. And I agree with Calvin. Don't sell yourself short, mate. I mean,
I don't sell myself short. I say I try to be a realist, and I've got some friends, dude, that are real. I'm like, damn, he's good. Like, damn, he's good.
Well, let me say this for you. Damn, you're good.
I appreciate that, homie. I appreciate that, dude.
So I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Is it Sharif?
Yeah, it's Sharif. Yeah, Rashid.
What's up, my friend? Good to meet you, my friend.
All good. Appreciate you, Ken. I'm Moroccan, Ken.
Oh, love it, baby. Love it. That's one of the places I have not been. My buddy Master Jeff's Persian, so he's trying to get me to go. You know, he said, dude, you got to come back to my home country with me. I'm like, let's go. I'm good for it. But I love Morocco's beautiful as well.
You're most welcome, Ken.
Most definitely. What question you got, my friend?
Well, I appreciate all the information that you are like dropping right now. As an English teacher, I have learned that in order to learn the language in a better way, you have to immerse yourself in that environment, in the environment where that language is spoken. And I compare that to everything in life. In order to succeed, you have to immerse yourself in that environment where there is success, where there is like people who are moving forward. As you have said, it's really powerful to write your vision every single day. I have like written this down, and thank you for that. As a spiritual like human being, I believe that like visualizing yourself, asking for more is a good thing to do. However, like you have to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you. However, you as well have to offer something. So you have to challenge yourself to be that person that you are visualizing yourself to be every single day. What my question right now is that in that journey to being that that person that you are dreaming of every single day, there are so many obstacles and challenges. How do you keep going through those obstacles and challenges?
Yeah, well, they're going to be there. And I mentioned yesterday, this has been something that's been in my heart for a while. I heard Rick Warren say this. I believe it was Rick. It was either Rick or Craig Rochelle say this 15, 20 years ago. You'll live at the level of your purpose, subsequently to the level of pain that you can tolerate. Because this is not easy. That's why there's called the 1% club, or 1%, the 1% of people. They do the 1% do what the 99% won't do. They just won't do it. And I think, when you've got a firm vision and you know exactly what you're called and created to do, and you have a purpose that has to go, guys, I'll say this to you, it has to go beyond finances. It's got to go beyond money. For most people, it's got to go beyond money. There's got to be a reason why you're going after what you're going after. If you want a jet, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. If you want a whatever, I think that's fine. But if you're doing it just so you can have a bigger jet, or if you're doing it just so you can have a bigger home, or you're doing it just so you can have another watch, I mean, how much fulfillment is in that? And I think fulfillment is what fills your tank every single day. At the end of the day, like I did, guys, in my planner, and I showed this to you guys yesterday. In my planner, I got a scoreboard at the end of every day. I rate myself. Where am I at today? How did I score today? What does that look like? And I rate myself for a reason. I want to know, man, did I get everything that I wanted to give it today? And at the end of the day, when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, only you know whether or not you lived a fulfilled life that day. And when you did, and you made an impact, and you helped other people become the best version of themselves, there's not a comma or a zero you can add to your bank account that's going to give you that feeling. It's just not going to. It's not going to. I want commas and I want zeros, but I understand what comes first. That's why in our core 5, in our mastermind, it's faith, physical condition, relationships, business, and finances. And if you get your faith in order, and you can work on all these simultaneously. It's not like you got to work on one and then go to the next, but your faith, your physical condition, your relationships, your business, and then your finances. If you start working on those things, As the first one comes in alignment, it's easier for the second to come in alignment. Then it's easier for the third one to come in alignment. And then business, to be honest with you, is a breeze because you've got all the difficult stuff, all really the areas of discipline, you've got those tackled. Business becomes easier. And then obviously if business becomes easier, what happens to the finance part? It's going to become easier as well. And you've got discipline from the first 3 or 4 areas. So it's easier for you not to, when you become successful and make a lot of money, to go out and just spend it as fast as you bring it in. It's easy to do that. And it's easy for you to be able to understand the power of giving and the power of doing something. I'll finish with this. In my book, I told a story a couple of years ago. I just started my health journey. A couple of years ago, I walked into a Waffle House, and I'm the only one there. I played basketball with all my guys. I walked into Waffle House, got me some scrambled eggs and some bacon because I was on keto. Scrambled eggs and bacon. It's like 11:30 at night, and so I'm having my late dinner because I haven't eaten anything hardly all day long, and I needed to be at about 1,800 to 2,000 calories. And I'm eating, and this guy walks in. There's only the cook, the waitress, and this guy walks in with 3 kids. And he walks in, he leaves, and I get done. I go pay my check, and I'm giving her a tip. And I say, "Hey, was that your husband dropping your kids off?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "My husband died last month, and all he left me were those 3 kids." And I'm sitting there, and God spoke to me. He goes, "You need to bless her." I don't ever carry more than a couple $100 on me. I think I had $240 in 20s that night. So I paid my check, and I gave her a good tip already. And I pulled the $20, this little stack of 20s I had, and I kind of fanned it out a little bit. And I slid it across the table, and I said, "Well, let me tell you this. God sent me here tonight, number one, to let you know that he loves you, and he has not forgotten about you." And I said, he told me to bless you. And I said, "Here's $240 for you and your kids." It was schools. It was in August of a couple of years ago. So almost 3 years ago now. And I said, God told me to bless you. And she just started weeping. And it was one of those things where she was like, "Can I give you a hug?" I said, "If you let me pray for you, yeah." So she got her boys, and she gathered the boys around and told them, "Hey, look, God sent this guy here, and this is what he's done for us. We can do school shopping stuff for her," is basically what she said it was going to be for her kids. And if you struggle with finances, you can't do things like that. And I could tell you on and on and on and on some of the things I've been able to do just in generosity and living a life of generosity. And when you do that, man, there's not a business accomplishment that means as much as stuff like that does. But if you're not moving the needle in revenue in your business, you can't do things like that because you don't have the assets, or you don't have the finances to be able to do it. So one really feeds the other. Does that help you guys? Give me a thumbs up. Good.
Thank you so much, Ken, for blessing us today.
You're welcome.
You're always
Love you, Calvin.
whenever you
Good to see you, homie.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you so much,
you guys.
guys. Thank you.
I'm going to the lake, soak up some sun on this big bald head right here.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mr. Ken. Thank you. And here we go, our last speaker for the day. And like how amazing was today, how much information we got, and how many great people, how many great speakers we got today, that it kind of light us on the way that we need to hold ourselves to the level of I will say excellence. And I remember, like, it was a book that with John Maxwell, with the 11 keys of excellence, that it's such an amazing book that I will advise everybody that like, if you are really looking to get yourself to that level of excellence, please read that book. It's an amazing book, and you should read it and should understand it, that we have to lift ourselves from wherever we are, wherever you've been. Please make sure that you put yourself to the point of being a service for everybody. Like us today, we spent the entire weekend of trying to give value to everybody, bringing speakers in, making sure that everybody's going to be happy. They're going to have their questions answered. And tomorrow, of course, we're going to have another day. It's going to be another round of speaker. And I just want everybody, like, I'm going to post here inside of the chat. There's a link, and if you thought it's of any value to you what we had today, if you have anything that you find that as useful, please drop us a testimonials. Go there and drop us something as value. What was your take? What was the things that you learned today Who was your favorite speaker? What are the things that you've been taught by that speakers? And just to be, you know, like I'll say authentic with what are your thoughts about your knowledge and where you've been before, what you learned, and how you're going to be taking this information to be putting in your own business. It's so important for you when you hear information, is not only to hear it, is to ask yourself the question, what did you learn today? How is going to apply in my own life? And what I can do with this information now, at this moment, when I hear it, to apply it to my business, to apply it to my life, and to take me, my business to the next level. How many times, you know, you go to all this Grant Cardone or everybody, all the speakers, boot camps, masterminds, and you go from there and you don't do nothing. Don't let that thing happen. Please make sure that before you're gonna leave to the, make sure before you're gonna move, step away from the place where you are right now. Take this information that you learned today and ask yourself the question for every single thing that you put there as a note or you have heard, and ask yourself how this is gonna help me on my personal life, business life, when I can apply, how can I apply today, and what are the next things that I need to do to make sure I'm gonna be taking myself 1% better for tomorrow. Otherwise, everything you heard today, it's useless. Don't let it pass. Every single one of us has access to knowledge, has access to courses, classes, everything. How much of that classes, how much of that information you actually used? Cardone U, you know, like it's huge. Did you actually get to the end of the Cardone U? Do you actually read every single, or listen to every single chapter, get to every chapter and apply everything that you listen there? Because the question is not. Yes, Kevin. Please unmute yourself.
Peter, yeah, they just want to thank you for putting this on, and sorry I was kind of missing in action the first day there. It's so impactful. Thanks for bringing everyone on, especially Ken there. What he said about we set the example, and I just changed it. You know, he said, number one, I set the example and you show people what is possible. So I just changed it to like, I set the example and I show people what is possible. And, you know, Grant talks about it, Brandon talks about it, like, don't tell me what you've done, show me. I think that's so important. So, you know, I'm going to put this like at the top. I have my certain book where I put the things that I just review every day that are really important to move the needle in my life. And I'm going to, like right after this call today, I'm going to go put this right at the top of that book there. These two things, that I set the example and I show people what is possible. Just want to thank you for this. And I wanted to ask you, like, what time tomorrow? I've got, I normally go to, I'm here in Dallas now, so it's pretty important to me. I go to church on Sunday mornings to TD Jakes' church, the Potter's House. He really impacted me when he spoke at GrowthCon. So when I moved here, I just started attending his church. But what time tomorrow are you starting, and what time is Anna going to be on tomorrow?
So it's going to be at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That means 2 hours. So that's mean at 8 o'clock we're gonna start. Then we're gonna finish as today at 2 o'clock. And before I let you go, I have a question to you. What about Katya? You had the conversation with Katya. What are you gonna put from that conversation into the practice, starting with now, to make sure you're gonna have a change? Because I know that Ken is impacting, but what about the conversation with Katya?
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's something I have to work on. I mean, it's a work in progress. Discipline. It's just not as easy as just saying I'm going to be disciplined. You know, I have all these great things I've spent money to learn and work with coaches to learn. And then I know I heard Christian talk about that one time. He said, I go to all these coaches, I've learned all this stuff. Now it's time I just go. But yeah, if you can help me, Peter or Christian or anyone else on some things like that, it's not as easy. I wish it was just saying I'm going to be disciplined, I'm just going to do it. But you know, life comes in the way. We get busy, we sleep in, we you know, we get sick, all these things come in the way, but I want to be disciplined. I want to do all that. But like for me, it comes down to time. We all have excuses, and it's whatever excuses we make. But to me, it's time. It seems like I don't have enough time in a day for all my, I know everybody has the same amount of time, so it's just an excuse. But the time for my morning modalities and the evening modalities, I guess I don't put enough value on them that they'll help me move the needle. When the coach, I mean, I have, obviously that's why I have her. I think she's the best coach in the world. And when she says I need to be doing these things, I just need to like realize the value and just do it. But if you have any advice or anybody else in here has any advice for me there, I don't want to take up the stage here, but that's, I take full responsibility. I'm a non-disciplined, lazy person, but that's even that self-talk where I'm hurting myself by saying that.
Well, I think you answered a lot of the questions that you have to find. But I will do this, and I will say this, you know, like, it is not even the time is the same. It's gonna pass either you're gonna do it or not, you know, and we all know that, you know, like, doesn't matter what you're gonna be your next action, what after you're gonna leave from here. The question it is, you know, like, how you want the time to pass, not, you know, if I have time or not. Because if you want to leave the time to pass without you to take an action because you give yourself an excuse that you don't have the time, it's gonna pass anyhow. So just, you know, like, yes, value is very important because you don't value enough the time, but even more important than that value, I think, is the question that how long you want to take until you're gonna achieve that Calvin that you want actually to be. If you want to do it in 10 years from now on, yeah, take that. Nobody's gonna push you. But if you want to be it this year, then figure out what can be done now, not tomorrow, now. That Kevin tomorrow is going to be 1% better. And I think at the end of the day, it is us, it's you, the one that has to take the action. Nobody. It is not one coach in this world that's going to do it for you. I don't care who's going to tell that he can do everything for you. I don't trust that person at the beginning to say like that, because I know that at the end of the day, it's you. It's the person that has to take the action, because nobody can go in our place and live our life except us. And if we don't take the decision, if we're not going to take the change, and, you know, like, I love how Brian Tracy is saying, a pig-headed discipline. If we're not going to take the decision of having a pig-headed discipline that's going to get us where we want, when we want it, nothing in this world, nobody in this world will change us. It doesn't matter who it is. Can be the best, amazing, golden, polished coach in this world. Diamond, I don't know, even more valuable. She will not help you with one thing. If you not gonna get to that point of deciding when you want to become, how long you want to take it, and when you want to become that pig-headed disciplined person that you need to be to achieve whatever you want to be when you want to be. Very simple.
Yeah, I like that, Peter. And then I think some of it comes down to like how much, like kind of like faith or belief. How much do I value these different modalities that, as she says, I need to implement?
We're gonna start a membership that we're gonna have with Growth Mastermind, and inside of that membership, we're gonna put an accountability program, in which I think a lot of people they miss it. In, you know, there's a lot of coaches that they're gonna tell you, okay, you do this, this, and that, and we realize, you know, and especially inside the Growth Master, we cannot beat anybody as a coach to select that to a level, and we don't want to do it. What we want to create, it is a way that we can keep you accountable for whatever you want to achieve with who you want to achieve. We're gonna have our own coaching. We're gonna have Mr. John Munizaga. We have here Craig. We have other people, Christian, and other people that, you know, they're in the business. They're gonna help with different aspects. But I think it's most important is to create that accountability to the point of nuts and bolts. Like every single day, we want you to be showing what you did, how you did, for how long you did. And I think that's where it's gonna get at. You know, anybody else has any other remarks. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So if you want, follow us. We're gonna post everything that we're gonna do with the
Peter,
membership.
I'm here on Central Time, so tomorrow you'll start at what time would it be on Central Time? You said you start at 10 Eastern tomorrow?
Yeah, so Central Time, I think, is gonna be 2
It
hours.
should be 9. Let's see.
9, I think, maybe
Yeah,
9.
9 a.m. here. Okay, and then did Anna speak yet, or I didn't want to miss her? When is Anna Suarez speaking?
She's gonna be the first speaker, and after that, we're gonna have. I can tell you right now, so you're gonna know. Is gonna be after that is gonna come Tucker, who's gonna talk about blockchain and technology, how it's gonna work, and we have again Mr. KEnjoslin, and we are gonna have Craig and Miss Tabitha. So that's gonna be the lineup for tomorrow. Okay, so I appreciate you, and follow us on what we're gonna do, because for sure, an accountability program is gonna help you a lot. So that's what we're gonna have for everybody.
I got some closing remarks.
Yeah, 100%. That's gonna help you a lot, because like, it's not about necessarily being disciplined. It's somebody to be on top of you, and we're gonna make sure we're gonna do that. So if anybody has any other question, or if you want to talk or you want to say something, please free. Yeah.
I have some closing remarks, and I'm not sure why my screen doesn't show my photo. But for today's event, today's speakers have been quite spectacular. And I want to take a very small moment as we're winding down to really encourage everyone to, one, not just implement, but actually do the work. Do the work not just to listen, but to actually understand. Not just to understand, but to actually figure out what's working for you, right? It's just like we go to conferences, whether it's Cadon's or anyone else's, and the words sound nice, but that's not where the change really happens. I can't remember the speaker that said that motivation is fleeting. And yes, that is something typically I see as well. And whether you listen to this live or on the replay, understand that what you do from then on, from receiving this information, today is just day 2, and we've already had so much information. But whatever you do from now on really governs what you get from this. It governs really who you become, because it's not just how much information that you have. Information is everywhere, but it's how much you use it, how timely it is, and how useful it is to you. So understand the opportunity that you have. And the biggest opportunity is not just the fact that you're hearing, you're listening, you've purchased the recordings and you're listening, but it's what you do thereafter, how you implement. So as the day winds down, I want to thank everybody for taking the time, for investing in themselves, and let's make things happen. Again, Peter mentioned the Growth Mastermind Group membership. That's going to come in a couple of weeks' time. And we will have a community. So this is an excellent forum for people to really share ideas, for speakers to really educate everybody, but we're going to go even deeper. And I implore you listening to do that yourself as well. And remember, it's not what you know, it's what you do. Thanks.
Amazing, and thank you. So here we go. We're about to wrap up the day. I still want to give the opportunity to anybody that wants to speak. So if anybody that they're still here, they want to talk or say something or ask something, this is your chance. Feel free to do so. And if not, I appreciate each one of you, and I appreciate for being here. I appreciate for the patience of having with us to go through all this thing. And I hope you learn the information. And I'm really hoping, even more important, that you're not gonna take this one and put it on the shelf like a book to stay there. That you're gonna take this information and process it for your life in a way that's gonna use it. Think this as the grocery store of needs. where you're gonna take a card and you're gonna go through the aisles, and from every single speaker, the things that's gonna apply to your life, you're gonna put it in that card. And at the end of the day, you're gonna check out. When you're gonna check out, you're gonna apply every single thing that is in that card and use it. You know, you don't want to buy things from the grocery that you're not gonna use. So think about this illusion that I talk about, and make sure you're gonna process this information that you hear and apply it to your life, and make sure you're gonna hit for greatness and especially grow. So that's all about in Growth Mastermind Group. And one more time, thank you for joining our Growth Mastermind Summit, Business Summit, day number 2. We're looking forward to see you on day number 3 tomorrow. And I appreciate each one of you. And remember, Growth Mastermind Group, it's a group of entrepreneurs whose mission, vision, and purpose to encourage other entrepreneurs to discover, fulfill, and acknowledge their potential. Thank you very much one more time, and see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.